Yo guys, what's up? As requested, I'm gonna review the video called How to Build Willpower, David Goggins and Dr. Andrew Huberman.
I'm gonna share a little neuroscience tidbit.
Love it.
But I think it's one that you'll appreciate. Most people don't know this, but there's a brain structure called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. As we pointed out before, that's a noun, it's a name, it doesn't mean anything. We could call it the Cookie Monster.
Right.
But what's interesting about this brain area is there are now a lot of data in humans, that's a mouse study, showing that when people do something they don't want to do, like add 3 hours of exercise per day or per week.
It's great that he admits that people don't want to exercise.
Or when people who are trying to diet and lose weight resist eating something.
Right.
When people do anything that they, and this is the important part, that they don't want to do.
Yes, when you don't want to do something, it's because your natural senses tell you not to do that. And the only thing that your natural senses tell you to do is for your own survival and for your health. Everything that you do that you don't want to do is unhealthy by default. That's biology 101. I don't know what kind of nonsense he's going to say. I'm used to absolute ignorance from this guy. But we'll see.
Right.
It's not about adding more work. It's about adding more work that you don't want to do.
Yes.
This brain area gets bigger.
Yep.
Now, here's what's especially interesting about.
Yes, of course, the brain area gets bigger. The anterior mid-cingulate cortex is there to recognize threats in the first place. Anything that your body sees as a threat will be recognized by this part of your brain, and you will then focus on how to get out of the situation. For example, if you fell into cold water, which a lot of slaves nowadays do on purpose.
This brain area to me. And by the way, I'm only learning this recently because it's new data.
He only learned about this recently? I knew about this for years.
But there's a lot of it. The anterior mid-cingulate cortex is smaller in obese people. It gets bigger when they diet. It's larger in athletes.
Of course, yes, it's larger in athletes because athletes do something that they don't want to do, which is why they die, usually in their 40s, 50s.
It's especially large or grows larger in people that see themselves as challenged and overcome some challenge.
Right.
And in people that live a very long time, this area keeps its size.
Oh my God. Wait. He just admitted that people who live a long life don't have this increase in that part of their brain. And that's because they only do what they want to do. Why do you admit that on your show people don't want to die young? That's what David Goggins is promoting, but nobody wants to live such a short life. Nobody wants to be as sick as him. He has so many diseases. Most of his videos are him complaining about how sick and injured he is.
In many ways, scientists are starting to think of the anterior mid-cingulate cortex not just as one of the seats of willpower,
Right.
but perhaps actually the seat of the will to live.
No, literally not. You just proved it because it shortens your lifespan, and people who do what they want to do don't increase this part of their brain. It just stays the same because there's no need for it to grow. There's no need for them to detect threats, seeing as they don't put themselves in threatening situations, which is what all of these slaves, such as David Goggins, do today. Of course, there could be a threatening situation. Anybody can get into that kind of situation, and then you will learn how to get out of it. But I'm talking about purposefully putting yourself into these situations. That's crazy.
Now we're talking.
And when I learned about the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, I was like almost out of my seat. And I've been in the neuroscience game since I was 20.
Now
We're the
we're
same
talking.
age. And I was so pumped because I've heard of the amygdala, fear, prefrontal cortex, it's planning and action. I can tell you every brain area and I teach neuroanatomy to medical students. But when I started seeing the data on the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, I was like, whoa, this is interesting.
Yep.
And
what is interesting about that? Your body always adapts to the situations that you're in. If you put yourself into more and more threatening situations, then it would try to adapt for you to get out of them. That's just biology 101. I don't understand what's so interesting about this.
all the data point to the fact that we can build this area up.
Yep.
But that as quick.
Yes, but you should never do that because, as he said himself, people who live a long life don't do it. And why would you stress your body to try to get out of threatening situations which are dangerous for your health? Oh my God.
Quickly as we build it up, if we don't continue to invest in things that are hard for us, that we don't want to do.
You can't invest into something that is hard for you. Something that is hard for you is something that you need to stay away from because it harms your health.
That's the part that feels so Goggin-esque to me, that we don't want to do. Like if you love the ice bath, yeah, I love the ice bath, and you go from...
No, nobody on earth loves ice baths. There's hundreds of videos, maybe even thousands online of people doing it at this point, and not one of them show any kind of joy, nothing even close to joy. It's always absolute misery, depression. I want to get out of there. I can't take it anymore.
1 minute to 10 minutes, guess what? Your anterior mid-cingulate cortex did not grow.
None.
But if you hate the cold water...
Yes, every human being hates it. Go on, you absolutely ignorant tool.
If you're afraid of drowning and you get into water and put your head under, then your anterior mid and survive, then the anterior mid-cingulate cortex gets bigger.
Yes, literally, of course, exactly. What is going on in this video? I can't even believe what I'm hearing. Of course, no human being on earth wants to drown. If you put your head under the water, then your body believes that it's drowning. It will, of course, try to get out of this threatening situation. And in this case, it is threatening your actual life. That's why this part of the brain would grow. Again, biology 101. How? Oh my God.
But if you don't do it the next day, or if you do it the next day and you enjoy it, because hey, I did it yesterday, woohoo, happy me, Merry Christmas, as you would say.
Merry Christmas.
Guess what? The anterior mid-cingulate cortex shrinks again. To me, this is one of the most important discoveries that neuroscience has ever made, because it's...
That's just adaptation. I don't understand why he's talking about it as if it's some new discovery. Your body adapts to pretty much anything.
That I don't want to do something, but do it anyway.
That's right.
That grows this area.
Yes, you only do that if you're a slave. You need to be severely brainwashed to go against your own senses, because no animal on earth, including human beings who live in nature, ever do anything that's bad for them, that harms them in any way at all. Not only something that causes mild health issues, but actually threatens their life. You can never convince somebody natural to do something that goes against their senses, which is their health. But in this case, of course, we are dealing with very brainwashed modern slaves. Somebody like David Goggins will, of course, do that because he hates his life.
And it's almost like I have a friend, he's been sober 30 years from alcohol. And he always says, you know, the amazing thing about addiction is there's a cure. The problem is it only works one day at a time. And so you have to renew it every day.
That's right.
So the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, to me, when I learned about it, two things went off in my head. Whoa, this is super interesting. And two, I got to tell David Goggins about this. And I waited until now to tell you because I felt like, well, for obvious reasons, I want to tell you and I want to tell you here.
Well, I love that because that's how I've lived my entire life. I don't know anything about that. But people go, man, you have such a strong will. It's something that you build. Like, I never forget, I was on a podcast.
He has a very strong so-called will to destroy himself. That I could agree with. Everything that he does and promotes is harmful for your body.
One time, and this dude goes, you were blessed with a strong mind. Like,
it's a brainwashed mind. Look, he can't even speak properly. He doesn't even understand his own thoughts. Very likely. Why would you do what you do otherwise? Everything that he does is very traumatizing for your body. And the reason he does that is most likely because his life was already before that traumatizing, which is why he cannot get out of this cycle of trauma.
The hell are you talking about? I was blessed with a strong mind. That's something that you have to develop. You develop that over years, decades.
Exactly, you do develop that because a natural human being would never do anything that he does. Whereas a traumatized, brainwashed slave would end up doing stuff like this, which is very destructive.
Of suffering. and going back into the suffer. That's why a lot of people who graduate Navy SEAL training, they want to know, like, I talk about very openly all the time. A lot of guys don't want to go back into that water. Don't want to go back into the hard stuff. Maybe not anything hard in life.
Yes, exactly. Being a Navy SEAL is insanely traumatizing. Navy SEALs are the absolute slaves of the slaves. They do anything for the government. There's a lot of stuff that I can't say on YouTube what's being done to them, but they end up being robots, essentially, because of everything that's done to them. And I'm pretty sure that Goggins also used to be a Navy SEAL. At least somebody once told me. I don't know if it's true, but I think that's why he's talking about it. And that also explains it, because you get traumatized there so insanely that you cannot get out of the trauma, which is why the cycle keeps repeating for him. And this is why he promotes it. People who are miserable and depressed want to pull other people into their depression. Navy SEALs, any kind of military slaves, the police even, are very disciplined people, as in very enslaved. They exactly do what the government tells them to do. It really doesn't get much worse. They are the bottom slaves, just the worst that there are out there.
Once you get through it, it's like you become a POW. Like, how many POWs you know want to go back to POW camp? None. When something sucks so bad in life, this is on this that we're talking about now, very few people want to go back. They're happy they graduated. I realized I'm the same way. I don't want to go back. I have to go back. I must go back, because that is exactly where all the knowledge of my life exists, was back there, and what you're exactly talking about. Well, I didn't know anything about this, but how I grew a will was constantly doing these things. To now, it's just life. I wake up, while it still sucks, it's just life. You don't sit back and like, oh my God, like, I have days I don't want to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. I know from years of just doing it. So that's beautiful. And this is why I came on here with you today. And I'm glad you're talking about this, because human beings need to hear this. They need to stop hearing these hacks on this and that. There's no fucking hack, bro. There's no fucking hack. Yeah, you may this and that and saunas and all this shit yeah, it's great. There is no fucking life hack. To grow that thing, how do you grow it? Do it and do it and do it and do it. That's the hack. The hack is gonna fucking suck. And that's what I realized. Life, that's why I want to come on here.
His realization is that life sucks, which is why you need to do stuff which makes it even worse over and over again. That's his life conclusion. Think about it. Life is terrible. Everything sucks, which is why I need to continue doing something that makes me even more miserable. How could you possibly take any advice from this guy? It's just insane. You literally have to be mentally insane to actually take his advice.
Knowing the name of something, anterior mid-cingulate cortex, doesn't fundamentally change us. But one thing I like about biology is that willpower, if somebody feels they don't have it, feels like this thing that other people have, but everybody, unless they're brain damaged, like a hole through their head, has two anterior mid-cingulate cortex, one on each side of their brain. Everyone has one. They have two. So I feel like it's just a question of opening the portal. And the portal, I'm going to say 10 times and forgive me, is I think people go, oh, I do hard things. I do sets to failure, and then I do forced reps. I love training with weights. I love doing sets to failure. I even like forced reps. But guess what? I like forced reps. So I'll tell you, they don't build my anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
Show me a video or a photo of you doing that and actually enjoying it. I'll be waiting forever, seeing as there's never been any recorded cases of any human being ever enjoying any kind of exercise, let alone lifting heavy weights. That just doesn't exist.
I like to do it.
That's right.
Anything you like to do is not going to enhance this aspect of willpower. And it seems so obvious once you hear it. You kind of go, oh yeah, of course.
So now you know why there's so many people that fail in this world to figure out their purpose in life. Where do I go? Because to grow that, while you may not look like me, how my daily life looks, it don't look fun. Don't look fun. So it's a choice that people have to make in life. But what's so funny about it is even the richest of rich, who have everything, they always ask me this question.
Rich people don't have everything. Money doesn't even exist. You can't buy intelligence. If you're stupid and rich, then you're still gonna eat slave food, which most of the rich people do. They eat better slave food, but it's still garbage.
I feel like I'm missing something. I don't feel like I'm missing shit. I don't have what you all have, but you'll never in my life hear me tell you I'm missing something. And everybody is. They're missing this feeling.
It's very clear that you're missing happiness and health, which is what every human being on earth wants. He talks about the purpose of life, some abstract ideas, but if there's anything that people want, then it's happiness and health, which is something that you're longing for so much, but you just cannot get to it because you're getting so incredibly far away from it, because everything that you do is what you're not supposed to do. You do what you don't want to do, which is why you're getting unhealthier and unhappier by the day, whereas the people who do what they want to do are happy and healthy. It's just so clear.
I found it a long time ago. I found it right there in that willpower thing. When you're nothing, and change yourself into something like me, you call it happiness, peace, whatever the fuck you want to call it. People are missing exactly what went on with David Goggins. Why don't you smile? I do. But I figured something out. That's why you'll never hear me say I'm missing something. I found it years ago. You find it in the suck. You find it in the suck, and you find it repeatedly in the suck, to the point where you know exactly who you are.
He really sounds like one of the most miserable and unhappy people on earth.
Most people are missing something because there's so much trapped in there. I don't even want to say potential. I think that's a word used out too much too. There's so much in you that God, or whatever the hell you believe in, or if you're an atheist, in you, that you have not unlocked. That you walk around with this gorgeous wife or great husband and all this money, like, God, I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, because it's about 75% of you is still fucking in there. Still chained up. Because you just didn't want to find your willpower. Didn't want to find your soul, your will, your heart, your determination, your guts, your courage. And what that looks like, it looks scary. Like you're...
That isn't even completely wrong. It's wrong in the way that he says it, but it is true that people are enslaved inside, so to speak, as in they don't do what they really want to do. Kind of like him, except that he goes to the extreme and really does everything that he doesn't want to do. Most people also live their lives with invisible chains around them. 99% of people who live in this slave society don't do what they want to do in everyday life, which is how slavery works. He's talking about it as if that's how you unleash yourself, and in reality, you unleash yourself by doing exactly what you want to do, not by doing what you don't want to do. It doesn't make any sense. Everything gets even worse if you go down his path.
A little scary lab I went in. Scary. To wake up every day and say, I'm stupid, but I want to figure out a way to be smarter. Versus saying, man, I just can't do that. So you limit this box. So your box becomes so small of things you can do. If you misunderstand what I'm saying right now today, the problem is you. And you don't want to fix it.
This was an incredibly terrible video. Absolute ignorance from Huberman. I'm used to it, but this was by far the worst video that I've seen from him. And Goggins, again, the typical slave. I'm also used to it. Do everything that you don't want to do. Yeah, exactly what no natural animal has ever done. No natural animal would ever in any way live even close to how he lives. Every animal, it doesn't matter which one you name, even as I said, humans' nature only do what they want to do, which is why they have a long life, they are happy and healthy. If you live like Goggins, you will be depressed, miserable. Nobody will want you around because your energy, so to speak, what you will radiate, your actual feelings, your biochemistry will be so off-putting, which is why he actually really never smiles. As he said himself, he was joking about it, but he really doesn't smile. Your face expressions completely show the way you feel. And Huberman was also saying that he likes going to the gym, lifting heavy weights. Okay, show me a video of you in any way enjoying that. Like I said, I've never seen one photo or video of somebody enjoying it. It's just crazy. And that Huberman had never even heard or at least understood what the anterior midcingulate cortex is there for. I understand that it's the part of the brain which detects threats. And of course, if you keep putting yourself into threatening situations, your body sees it as a threat, to your health and actual survival, your life, then of course it will grow. It's just biology 101. This is called adaptation. And he creates this video as if it's some new discovery. Wow, our brains adapt to threatening situations. Hey, Goggins, had you heard about it? Oh, I had never heard about it. Really? Okay. This is really interesting. Let's just talk about me being depressed and miserable for the next 6 minutes or so. One of the worst videos I've ever seen. Thanks for watching.